Yeah. Yeah.
Sitting in a 4v3.
From esports, trying to find what angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a roll. CY gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
Beast Mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Santi gonna get themselves a big old 4K. Santi's getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Sagafort is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick under Linky. They're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Blue manages to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio.
That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beagle Bus, they have to play aggressively into this energy. Popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The fourth one as well. Do they get the ace? They get the ace.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. We got some more CGL action heading your way deep into week 3 here. We have a hopefully fun match for you between Smelvin Industries and Bliss Marauders. I am Megalas. With me is Spectrion. Spec, how you doing?
Well, I don't know if you had a chance to see the game we got to cast last night, Mega, between Diamond Defenders, I believe, and well, really just Ruby on the other side of things. It was quite something. We saw what I can only describe as probably the worst map of CGL history, and I'm kind of still recovering from that. So if I'm kind of low energy today, blame the entire North American Open bracket. Obviously, EU Open today, it should be in paper a little bit closer, a little bit more competitive, a little bit more serious. So hopefully these teams can take some inspiration from those rosters in OWCS and come with some pretty interesting comps for us today.
Yeah, that's hopefully obviously the name of the game here. These two teams, currently Bliss Marauders record 0-2, have yet to get a win on the season. Smelvin Industries sitting at 1-1 right now, so should it be fairly a fun match to watch here in week 3. But yeah, just as we're breaking stuff down, like you were saying, the meta's kind of open right now. A lot of people are picking a lot of different things. Bans are obviously playing that super big factor that we know they can across these maps and things like that. So overall, it's been kind of creating a little bit of an interesting hodgepodge where people are just playing what they're comfortable on, and if it works, it works.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of comps that kind of can be played right now. I think we're seeing a little bit more of a lean towards like Zarya comps in general. Not necessarily Brawl, as, you know, you'd imagine it with your kind of Rhine speeds, your all that, you know, Mei shebang. But, you know, tankier comps. using like the Kiriko, using the Lucio, using the Reaper. So basically just out DPS the opposing team in a straight up front line matchup. I think it's kind of this kind of hybridization between, I guess, all sorts of comps. Like looking at the Hazard, use some poking, some diving, some brawling. That's kind of the common right now. I think very specialized comps like we were used to, like hard Winston, hard Sig. Not seeing a lot of playtime right now. So I think most teams looking for some sort of one-size-fits-all solution. Just the specific choice they go towards is entirely dependent on roster to roster. And that also means that the specific counterplay changes as well, right? A Wu Yang team is going to have to approach the game very differently to a more standard like Lucio Kiriko team, for example, because of the lack of healing that he provides, counteracted with the essentially instant fight win you've got of the Wu Yang ultimate comboed with a Genji Tracer Hazard just jumping in, comboed with the insane damage that allows you to poke at any diver. So all up in the air.
Up in the air indeed. One thing that is not up in the air though, thanks to the changes for season 16, is this first map. It's set in stone. It's been Busan all week long for all the teams. You know, it's a fairly interesting control map. I feel you have all three of the sub points that can sort of field a variety of different compositions. Really lets teams sort of flex their muscles a little bit. So it should be interesting to see what teams are able to sort of cook up, especially. I'm especially looking forward to maps like Sanctuary, where it used to be more pokey, but now people just kind of, this is where the chaos starts to come out.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing to pay attention to most might actually end up being mecha-based. Your ability to play more micro-positionally, more focused on your tank trade is going to be super important in a comp like this, in a meta like this. I think when we're looking overall, it's going to be what kind of informs how the rest of the series is going to go. I think Sanctuary, Midtown, or Downtown rather, could end up being a bit more of one-offs in the grand scheme of things, so it could be very important. As for the bans, Bliss Marauders, a couple of things you can go towards as it turns down to bans. I mean, it entirely depends on what you want to play. If you want to play Zarya, for example, you're probably looking to target Wu Yang, who can really ruin your day. But they're going to go towards Sojin, shows they either want to play double flex, Cassidy. I'm leaning more towards the double flex, though.
Yeah, and Sojourn, obviously, like you're saying, kind of, if you're going to have a hit scan option in the lineup, one of the more prevalent options. So double flex probably going to be on the table here. So now Smelvin gets their turn at that ban phase. And like you were saying, the Zarya is prominent. So if you want to play the Zarya, you were leaning towards those Wu Yang bangs. Or if you don't, you don't want to play the Zarya, you could ban it out yourself. There's different options in that regard here. But trying to see exactly what they came up with. It's actually going to be the Hazard. So this, you could have hit the nail on the head, if I could speak words today, with the Zarya coming out.
Yeah, I will say I think the Zarya playing into the Hazard is pretty comfortable. You can just sit there full beaming. He can't achieve a lot, right? And you do have your bubbles to stop that Spike Guard from finding too much value. Get to take a look at the preferred heroes, at least, of one of our teams. We can take a look at, their entire roster. Bliss Marauders. Zaba attacks, kill the hog, control, and I'm afraid I don't speak Cyrillic, but we'll get that fixed in a second. I'll put it this way. Hog's pretty good right now. We haven't mentioned it yet, but 2x headshot modifier does mean that you have a 35 meter circle of death, and if you enter it, you just die. And so banning that Hazard does make this a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, the Hog can be interesting, although if your name's Kill the Hog, I mean, it might be a little bit counterintuitive here, but regardless, this is obviously Bliss Marauders lineup. Now we have to look at the other side, Smelvin Industries, where we're going to be, a little bit unknown on some stuff, because Smelvin Industries, you didn't fill out your team sheet. We asked and pleaded, and you still didn't, so y'all suck. But we got Will and Adam on the DPS line, Big Man on tank, and then Seb and Robbie Hash. Some familiar names to the CGL scene, to the Smelvin squad that has existed before here.
Indeed. So, I mean, they've had so much practice in CGL. They know what it's like to be streamed. They'll be perfectly comfortable. And we're just looking to see whether they can adapt to this fresh patch, because I think a lot of teams right now are kind of struggling, kind of floundering. We've had so long playing essentially the same comp, right? When we move away from it, then it can be some whiplash for sure. Anytime it's not like Tracer Soj, Kiri Lucio, like a Winston, then I think some teams just don't have the time in it anymore. And with this meta being a bit more wide open, I think it can be punishing to some of those older squads.
Exactly right. Flexibility is just going to be the name of the game here, and if you're not able to keep up with the youngins, you know, you're going to get bulldozed over. So it's going to be something to watch out for here. But you know, meta this, meta that. I mean, the beauties of boosts on, especially to start us off, and then wherever we end up going after that, is really going to reveal also just sort of what these teams potentially have comforts in, right? A squad like Smelvin, if they're not willing to adapt to this new age, they could be sticking with some older comps, so we could see them, you know, try to roll out dive in a majority of maps, picking those dive-centric maps to really help them as they go throughout the series. But at the end of the day, it's just sort of a coin toss in the air right now.
Indeed. Indeed. Obviously, heading on to Mecha Base, as I mentioned, in my opinion, this is going to be the most important area to take a look at. I think it's going to be most reminiscent of some other maps that we're going to see teams wanting to play. I mean, non-Winston stuff, essentially, want to head towards. So I think it's going to be a really nice weather vane. Maybe a canary in the coal mine as to how these teams are going to play. Ori, Bap, Lucio playing heavy for poke. You have some cycles with the Bastion form, so it's all about enabling attacks to go in to find value. And when attacks isn't, you know, in that turret, you're kind of just hanging about, waiting for it to come back online again. Smelvin playing a lot more cyclically with the Queen. You have to play around that shout. If you do find a wall, it's nice, especially onto attacks. But really, you're just hoping Will and Big Nan can synchronize on a target before attack is able to find value.
Exactly. That's what Smelvin Industries win con should be here. So as we're getting into it, both teams opted to take this high ground fight, at least for the start here. The Orisa already dropping to half HP. Needs a little bit of care from the Baptiste before walking forward here. Big Nan trying to pull somebody in. No success with that just yet. So it is just a little bit of a poke war right now. Bliss being able to hold the space for the time being. That being said, it just takes one cooldown, one cycle here, and Smelvin HP bars are dropping finally. That'll be the go button here. Seb already missing from the fight. Now the Baptiste going to be falling. No supports left means that these health bars are not going to go up on the side of Smelvin here, as Bliss will go ahead and get the point cap.
I expected Bliss Marauders to want to play a little bit back here, you know, play entirely for their extended shooting, but they actually seem perfectly happy to use the inherent survivability of the Bastion of the Orisa just to kettle Smelvin Industries in the choke, and not knowing which way to go, they eventually just got taken care of. 10% already accrued for Bliss Marauders, but Smelvin Industries stepping up once more to the plate.
Stepping up here to this high ground. That's going to be a shout engage as well. Trying to isolate, kill the hog right now. Through that fortify, HP bar dropping low. Forces the immortality field to stay alive here. And Will has found the first kill in this fight. But you got to look for a little bit more here for Smelvin. They're at least getting space on the map. The Baptiste pulled in. That's going to be end of Control's life here. And Attack's just heading back to spawn. Not wanting to die.
Yeah, this time playing close is a hell of a lot easier for Smelvin Industries to punish. Just walking past, kill the hog, and onto any target they actually want to evaporate. They're able to get the flip in relatively quick manner. So 33%, not too bad at all. Ults online, more for Bliss Marauders. Smelvin Industries are going to want to play slow, and so they have a couple more check marks online. Else the Blizzard of Adam has to be their get out of jail free card.
And that's what's being used right now. A massive freeze, though. The Terror Surge is used in the middle of it with the Immortality Field. And it's going to come down for 2. So actually being able to turn the tides right now. Up 1 in this fight is Bliss Marauders, trying to see if they can get the focus fire down onto Adam. Solo HP finally removed from the fight here. And turning that situation on its head gets Bliss Marauders back in control.
Yeah, the Terror Surge there was absolutely pristine. Not even needing a combo from either DPS ult to find value. Just dealing basically the entire HP of Big Nan through the Immortality Field. Falls back though, not having the best time is kill the hog. Smelvin Industries probably looking to find value from their rampage.
Yeah, and so now trying to hold people in that stairwell. That way they could find value from the Bastion ultimate. Not going to be the case, but Big Nan does find value with the Rampage. The HP bars finally start to dwindle. That's going to be 3 for the Junker Queen in the fight. This Tracer's going to be taking out the Lucio, but actually Big Nan takes it. I'll be 4 for the Queen here. Smelvin's right back in it.
Yeah, I mean, RK being about 3% off the beat means that Big Nan was able to find that Rampage at the perfect time. If the sound barrier could be connected, then Bliss Marauders at the very least keep on fighting, but instead have to go for the next battle.
Oh, I was about to say, that's an unfortunate position for Control to be in, but a spear from Kill the Hog saves the Baptiste life here. And again, just a quick blink and you miss it fight here, and Bliss Marauders are back in Control.
Very back and forth. The seesaw has continued to flip. for both Bliss Marauders and Smelvin Industries. This time, obviously, it's Bliss Marauders who are on the defensive. They've got good ults and taking up to one fight territory. This could be the last battle here on Mecha Base.
Exactly, Seb. Incredibly low. Can't cross to be with the rest of the team here, but that speed boost could be massive for getting people in. The wall comes through, connects, and makes it so Kill the Hog can go down. Robbie Hash has found 2 in the fight. These Baptistes definitely love getting active here. Control potentially a little too active, as now the fight is going to go over to point. RK is going to be the last one to fall here, and Smelvin Industries stay on this map a little longer.
They do, but they still have to play down the ult bank of their opposition. Theirs isn't so bad themselves, but as long as Robbie Hash doesn't overpeak, we can go into this next fight with basically 10 ultimates on the board.
Yeah, it'll be a massive ult fight here, so who can find value first is going to be the question. The Terra Surge comes out, now a Dragon Blade being pulled as well, forces the Sound Bearer in response. Q buttons are being pressed left, right, and center. Who can find value? It's not going to be Saber, who's taken down by the support line here, so now the Rampage comes through incredibly late in the fight, and with the help of Seb following it up, it seems as though the Chunker Queen has finally connected in the fight here, and Smelvin will be able to continue to hold.
10% left to go. A touch is going to be 9 impossible. Attacks on that Tracer, Zabba on that Genji. Scrambling to try and get overtime started. If they don't, then Smelvin Industries will be able to steal away this last 0.1%. There's the touch, but Attacks has to sell his life for it.
Yeah, both DPS gave their life for it, and the Fortify is not going to keep Kill the Hog alive much longer than that as well here. So Smelvin Industries, after a very back and forth first round, they will take the Mecha Base.
It was competitive as hell, obviously. I mean, Smelvin Industries at any point realistically could have lost that, but end of the day, the cycle simply favored them a little bit better. One has to imagine if they were the ones who won first fight and we kept seesawing back and forth, then Bliss Marauders may have even been the one to take that. But at the end of the day, obviously that isn't the case. I'm a little bit worried about these teams' ability to defend so far, because it seemed like it was something of a poison chalice. Yes, you get some percentage on the point, but the fight appears to be never going in your favor. Has to be something that realistically both sides clean up as we head into both downtown and the rest of the series.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that continues to evolve here. Smelvin has evolved their comp a little bit more pokey, and Seb is already gone from the fight thanks to attack on the Torbjorn from the Rivet gunshots here. So now already Kill the Hog pushing forward here, and with some more shots from downtown coming from the Torbjorn, it should just be a quick cleanup. Big Man is able to get one onto attacks though, and actually Saber down as well here. So while Bliss Marauders are going to get first cap, they do not have the DPS to keep this reinforced for long.
Again, it's that defensive poison chalice. I think we're seeing again first cap here for Bliss Marauders. What can they even do here? Back up as much as they can. Hope the Orisa Shield provides some level of solace. See how long they can keep point stored out for appears to be the game plan.
That seems to be it, as Big Man has now forced on to point, and the Orissas are both down here, forcing Fortify and other cooldowns to try to stay alive. Kill the Hog already found one on to Will, though, and with that shield perk, it's giving the entirety of Bliss Marauders that extra shielding pressure they need to stay alive longer in these fights, as now it seems to just be a cleanup effect for Bliss.
That it does. Finally, a hold is successful. Kill the Hog! Overpeaks, no shield in time. Robbie Hash able to gun him down. Smelvin Industries spy an opportunity and press their advantage. They surely can get the flip, especially as Attacks has to tuck his tail beneath his legs. What a huge mistake.
I mean, yeah, absolutely massive mistake. Now RK is going to go down here, just touching the point. And yeah, I mean, Smelvin Industries just kind of gets away with some righteous murder right there. Robbie Hash really showing the damage that Baptiste can output. Now heading into the next fight, you have to worry about the amplification matrix, obviously. But it's going to be the Kitsune Rush to actually start us off. Control walking forward here, trying to get the rest of the team in. And it's going to be the Terror Surge now from Kill the Hog. Finds one on to Adam. Needs a little bit more in this fight to help secure it, though. That's going to be the Immortality Field. Force and Will has found one onto Control. Now the Terror Surge is on the other foot, and it's absolutely massive at getting the kills, doing the damage, and now Kill the Hog is isolated in an island of enemies.
Terror Surges, they have been humongous. Big Nan adds one of his own to the list. Huge amounts of damage poured on, and Bliss Marauders obviously going to see their point percentage at least equaled out on. Coming back into this, though, Beat, Blade, Molten Core, not some bad check marks to have, but into the Capture Sun and the Deadeye, the area denial tools that the defenders have is simply unmatched.
Simply unmatched, but Adam already actually on the defensive side here, able to find one on 2 attacks. So now the rest of Bliss Marauders is just looking to get out of dodge and hopefully try to hang on for the next fight.
It's great damage being dealt by Robbie Hash right now as we continue to play this extended neutral. Smelvin Industries probably want to keep poking for as long as they humanely can. Anytime a walk comes through from Bliss Marauders, they should be looking to punish with a check mark. If I'm Bliss Marauders, I should probably just wrap around left side, because if they keep shooting back and forth, Kill the Hog is going to continue to get picked first.
Yeah, I mean, they're sort of just funneling themselves down a main here into the entirety of Bliss Marauders, not realizing Saber is behind them, though, as Smelvin is pushing the spawn door. Granted, they have a ton of kills already to their name. Now, Saber has been spotted by the turret. Has anybody else reacted to it, though? It seems like the answer is going to be no, so Saber will get a touch onto the point to at least trigger some overtime, but it is just this Genji and the Blade versus the world here, and having to pull off another touch into the face of the Cassidy. It's not going to work out. Will hit the emo. Nobody else can break out of spawn in time to get to the objective, and Smelvin Industries will take our first map.
Yeah, it feels like Bliss Marauders kind of broke down towards the end of that. It felt like they started so strong, but once they kind of were getting choked out by their opponents, they weren't sure how to break it. Like I mentioned, maybe, go for a different path towards the objective would have suited them a little bit better, because with the Lucio just walking into Papillari, it's no fun. You just get absolutely evaporated. And so, in the end, not a victory for them, but it's a close-fought map, and considering it's their map pick, their ban, or their ban first, at the very least, heading into map number 2, they've got a very decent chance of equalizing us here at 1-1.
Yeah, absolutely. And, those bans can play into factors, obviously, with both the Sojourn and Hazard ban. We didn't really get to see anybody try to pick up the pace of the game with that Hazard that we know is a little bit more survivable than tanks like the Winston right now in terms of dive aspects. So also looking forward, Bliss does get that map pick like you were alluding to as well here. And based on the comps they were playing, what sort of map do you think they're going to try to opt into?
Both teams mirroring the Orisa to start. Obviously, we saw that Hazard ban come out early on. If you wanted to play Hazard, you'd probably be looking at like a Suravasa most commonly. New York City would work as well, but maybe might play too much into the Orisa mirror. If you do want to play Orisa, as long as you avoid high verticality maps like a Dorado, like a Watch Point, you'll be able to play something. You'll be able to be pretty happy with it. But you might want to look towards like a Shambali style of map just to really lead into the advantage that hero provides. Very dependent on bans, though. I do think what we saw map 1, the Hazard and the Soch, was hugely impactful, and with them being in the game, I think it's going to change the field heavily.
Yeah, it can absolutely change things night and day here, but obviously teams have to take their time, make those decisions, and obviously we could sit here, we could speculate all day long until the proof is in the pudding. We're just kind of here observing some Overwatch, but to be fair, I mean, from the predictions we were making on that first round, right, a lot of Zarya has been cropping up in the meta lately and things like that. Neither team really opted into that hard counter pick to the Orisa. They just opted into the Orisa mirror. Do you think both these teams are just going to stay away from the Zarya, or was it just sort of a thing for Busan?
If you want to play the Zarya, absolutely there was a spot there for it. So I assume that they're going to stay away for it, or that's what the previous map showed. Sorry, if they want to change, they absolutely can. It's a very valid position for it. Later on as well, it's so strong. You can literally just melt through the gold and the spin both. But if it's not something that's in their hero pool, then it's probably best if you don't play it. I've seen a lot of Zaryas in Faceit League really struggle with their bubble management and get punished for it. So absolutely a possibility. But if I had to bet, I'd probably say that we won't be seeing too much of her, at least throughout today.
Fair enough. And I mean, even on the Orisa, you obviously have this cooldown managements that you have to look out for. So these tanks definitely got to stay on their tippy toes here. But, while we have this time, while we're just yapping, I have to ask, what's going on with the Pringles?
In my house?
Yeah. You have like
I gave them for free. I got them for free from Pringles HQ because they did a collab with Mario, and they wanted me to like try it and make a little like advert thing. Because there's like the standard flavors, and they made like a mystery flavor. Tried the mystery flavor. It was like salsa or something. Was my best guess. And it's a nice thing to have. Nice to have my little Pringles display case. It's the least efficient way of storing Pringles I think I've ever seen. Like it came in this big ass box, like yay big, and there's 5 tubes of Pringles. It's like cool, you know, could have been like a little box, same size, could have packed it with like 20 cans. I would have been set for life. That would have been my diet for a week. But hey, it's all G. Shout out Pringles for the one time.
Hey, I mean, listen, you got to be a little bit careful with the Pringles. You know, the last UK caster I saw with a massive amount of Pringles, that hairline receded pretty quickly for the Good Friend sideshow. So, you know, but got to be a little bit careful with how many Pringles you ingest potentially. Not saying
Are you saying that like British people's hairline has an allergy to Pringles?
I mean, so far I've seen one British person with an abnormal amount of Pringles, and you know the hairline's non-existent, right? I mean, you do get a cool mustache out of it though. Sideshow's got that, so maybe you could rock that.
I'm not really a big mustache guy though. I feel like I don't have the level of personality needed for it. Because like with the mustache, it's like a void. It's like a vacuum. It sucks everything in. So I feel like if you're not like a strong enough like character, like you become subsumed by your facial hair, and I'd rather that didn't happen.
You know, that's an interesting stance, and like as I'm sitting here imagining it, yeah, I don't think you look good with the mustache. I don't think you could do it. That being said, we gotta hope the hairline stays intact then, because otherwise, just like the full-on bald, I just don't think it would work. You know, there's only so many bald British people that we can have in the world. I feel like you might pass the quota. Yeah, this is what happens when
like one guy, like
I don't know. Oh, hey, we finally have maps, so we can stop this nonsense tangent I started.
Hairline.
Yeah. We're going to Hollywood, Spec.
Oh, that sucks. I mean, you've got Soj back in, long range hits, guys super effective in Hollywood. Verticality, obviously a thing. If you want to play Haz, it's going to work pretty okay. Arisa, maybe less so. You can't really attack at all, especially through second point with the hero. So that's what it shows us first and foremost. Also can encourage double flex backlines and a brig backlines, generally a more long range setup. When we were seeing, you know, any sort of Lucio Kiri, that's no bueno here. It's playable, but it just doesn't feel the same as the Kiri just gets outvalued by Bap, Ilari, Anna in a lot of scenarios.
Yeah, a lot of scenarios is certainly the nicest way that you could put it, but also, like you mentioned, you know, the Sojourn's back in, so we have to see who is going to be removed from the pool this time here when you're looking at these options. Bliss Marauders getting to ban at first here. And honestly, they could go the way of a protect ban. Like, even if, you know, say they know they want to play something like the Orisa or even the Hazard, they could intentionally just ban another tank, just so that way, you know, doesn't even give Smelvin the opportunity to look over at the tank pool here. But realistically, besides that, I don't know where else they'd go for bans.
You've got a lot of options here. Even Torbjorn might work out for you. If you're not a fan of attacks piloting that hero anymore, it is literally purely down to your personal preference. I couldn't tell you, to be honest. Like I said, it's very wide open still. We're in the early days of this match, and the later on we get, the more predictable these bans will get as teams run through their good ones and really lock in their comp. Cassidy makes sense, especially if you're playing something divey. If Soj is your hit scan of choice, Cass can be a bit higher value if they're super confident. If you play him like the President, I think it's pretty valid.
Yeah, it's completely valid, right? And you know, it clearly shows that Bliss, with both their bans being on both Sojourn and Cassidy thus far, that they are just not too fond of the hit scan. And honestly, I don't blame them. Hit scans are smelly. The projectile characters are 10 times more fun in this game. So, you know, let people play their Tracer Genji. Let people have Whimsy. Apparently, don't play Venture though. You'll be called names. You will be equated to historical figures from the 1930s. But regardless, Smelvin's pan here coming up in the magical 3-2-1 seconds is going to actually be Iyari to potentially just zone out some of those poke options from the supports.
Yeah, I mean, hard poke on Hollywood is pretty cringe to break, especially if you're not playing heavy dive setups. This way, you're taking away a lot of the double flex options. If you want to, you have to do it with Wu Yang or Kiriko, which is still valid. But at the kind of extended ranges that especially Hollywood second point offers, you will be taking less spam damage purely because they're projectile, because they're not hit scanned. So I think this is a perfectly valid ban. I think it takes options away from Bliss Marauders, and I think on the whole, Smelvin have probably won this ban phase. unless the Soj of Bliss Marauders is just like absolutely life-changing.
Life-changing. I mean, I don't know if I would ever describe that about any Sojourn player, but hey, listen. You know, I'm all for the inspiration that can come from that here as we're looking to get into map. Again, you know, like the Ari ban is very interesting, but I feel like the Baptiste is still just going to be the mainstay for both these teams, especially with the verticality of the map. Like you were saying, the Kiriko can sometimes feel a little bit nuisanced or troubled to trying to get around and things like that. Whereas Bap, you know, he's got those beautiful legs that can just jump up and down wherever he needs to go.
Indeed. Pretty good legs, all things considered. He should probably start, like, competing in the Olympics rather than fighting in wars over whatever the hell people fight in wars over. Like, here, Hollywood, aren't we, like, defending, like, a film director? Like, he's got better things to do, man. Like, you could be setting world records, and you're just, like, beefing over, like, the Overwatch equivalent of, like, what's his name? Explosion. Michael Bay. Like, I think we're G. Defensive comp. Double flex, like we mentioned. Juno Kiri playing for extended shooting. A bit of ability to dive as well. Some angle support, but not a crazy amount. You can definitely see the lack of Alari on both these two teams, of course, as these comps kind of seem to be kind of circling around it. Attacks starting on the Ashe, actually. And a D.Va mirror does make sense. D.Va's just super strong right now.
Yeah, I mean, D.Va, it's sort of an underrated pick. I feel like a lot of people, and myself included, have definitely slept on it a lot, but kind of out of nowhere, there's been sort of a resurgence of D.Va, you know, coming and being annoying, especially in these matches. I mean, what's not to love, right? You have the defense matrix that can sort of help peel for your team as you need it, or just peel for yourself and keep you alive longer in these fights. You have tons of damage you're putting out with your micro missiles and things like that, as well as 4-second booster cooldown still. So, you know, you're getting in and out, you're zip, zap, zopping all over the map.
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly just you have absolutely not button with that defense matrix, which just finds so much insane value. And then with the micro missiles combined with the fusion cannons, your ability to frontline is also very valid. So D.Va ends up being a jack of all trades. Like I said in the preamble, a kind of one-size-fits-all solution. And with the added mobility that you mentioned, Mega, I mean, the hero... I'd like to see her nerfed a little bit. I'll put it that way. Bring her down like 5-10%, and I would not be complaining.
No, actually, I think we should... I think she's got like 4 seconds of matrix right now, or 3 to 4 seconds. I think we should give her 5 seconds. 5 seconds of matrix.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
I think we need to exacerbate the problem. Some might say.
So ass. Imagine you try and like, you're playing a game and D.Va just says no. Your side cannot do damage to the team fight. It would be. Oh, I'm fuming just thinking about it.
Well, you can take your time and fume as you need to, as the D.Vas are now looking at each other here. Robbie has potentially pushed forward a little bit too much, but now actually being able to apply that pressure to kill the Hog, which is going to force the entirety of Bliss Marauders actually back here. Robbie Hash goes in for a little love tap before flying out again. Already 1 tick secured here for Smelvin, and they're probably going to be able to get a second thanks to that lovely railgun shot from Will here. Already down 2 members, make it a third as the Ashe has been caught in between a D.Va and a hard place here, and Smelvin just gets the cap.
I think a lot of this is the brave value of Adam. You have that backline survivability, that knowledge that, you know, when pressure goes onto them, they'll be able to live for a little bit longer. With the Juno and the Kiriko, you simply don't have that. And so Big Nan and Robbie Hash are able to find early value, early frags, and the rest of Bliss Marauders crumble. So Smelvin already on that high ground, already trying to press their lead as the cart is obviously rolling.
The cart rolling forward as another pause is being called. This time from... oh, wait. It was not a pause. It was not a pause. It was pushing P for pushing point.
I thought you meant like put like money.
Yeah, listen, they're Overwatch players. They don't have money. Let's be real. Regardless here, we do have Smelvin playing incredibly far forward, like you're seeing on board with Big Nan now. Just realizing they definitely did a lot of role swapping on the side of Smelvin Industries here, so potentially a little bit of a flex. Who knows? Now Robbie Hash is going to retake the high ground with a nano boost. Already deletes attacks. Make that RK for the second kill. Looking for a third onto control. Gets it with the help of Big Nan here, and that pulse bomb as the dessert treatment for Kill the Hog as that D.Va runs back to spawn.
Robbie Hash very kindly feeding towards my Nerf Diva narrative. An easy 3-piece found with a little bit of help from the Nano Boost, of course. This is just a lightning fast pace that we're seeing set from Smelvin Industries, and could be a 4-minute cap if they're able to put this one down quick.
Yeah, so we have to see exactly how quick they intend it to move here now with some swaps. Big Man has been taken out of the fight by Saber here, so Bliss potentially starting to find a bit of a foothold. They do have to finally contest Robbie Hash here, which even once you do, that self-destruct is online to keep the Diva nice and healthy. Saber now goes down as well, thanks to Will. This high ground Ash is putting in the work here. Nobody can really go up there except for Robbie Hash, who has to, leaving the cart, but it is going to be an overclock on cart, finds the one onto attacks, looking for a bit more with some extra damage into the Bob here, just chunking down that our favorite Omnic Butler's HP, and just like that, Smelvin keep it rolling.
They do. Technically not 4 minutes on the bank, but come on, it's like 3:47. They're okay. 5 minutes, 17 seconds now as they head into the third point of the map. Saber goes down early as well. It makes it so much harder. Obviously, 2 players on cart is going to help it roll in a little bit faster. Bliss Marauders, Road Dogg will help. You can't DM the hook, but you still have to worry about nades and the raw DPS. The nade reset. What?
Control somehow dies to a Diva Bomb in 2025 when you're a Kiriko that has...
Just say no.
Yeah. It's a very interesting one from the Kiri here. Like you said, you can't DM the hook, but all of the shots in between, during, and after can be easily eaten by the defense matrix, as you're seeing Robbie Hash do now. Kill the hog on the namesake, bullied into the corner here. Saber trying to walk forward with a Dragon Blade. Currently doesn't have anybody with them, though, and immediately taken out of the fight by this backline here. Control will be able to find the one onto Adam, but it seems like the damage in this push is halted for now.
Good defense matrix. Kill the hook has to try and live the vape. Not enough. I believe there was some Matrix actually coming through to eat the Ofuda from Control. And with RK and attacks both falling, then the cart is going to continue rolling forward. Bliss Marauders, I believe, have enough time for a recontest, but it is going to suck.
I mean, if they can get out of spawn, they have both the rally and Kitsune Rush to their name here. But again, it's going to be the matter of getting over to the payload. And currently, as it's continuing to push forward, there's the Kitsune Rush forced out here. Attacks found one onto Adam. Bliss Marauders could potentially be starting something big here with that rally invested now, already taking Big Man out as well. Robbie Hash is already sounding the retreat for the rest of the squad here as everybody makes it out.
Wouldn't have minded actually using the Diva Bomb purely as a zoning tool to clear off the point for a second, but decide not to commit to that, rather use it for at least another attempt here. Smelvin Industries, a lot of eggs are going to be put in the Will overclock basket. Been very quiet on the social part, mostly because Robbie Hash has been doing everything, but now is his time. What a hook!
The hook, but the defense matrix is there to keep Will alive in the fight. Now a whole hog being invested. There's only so much defense matrix in the world here. Will, again, at the mercy of a hook right now, gets caught, but in Control will finish that one up here now. Traded out, so Saber is gone, but Kill the Hog finally starting to put in work on this Roadhog, and Robbie Hash realizes there's nothing for him to do besides hide on the high ground and wait for reinforcements.
Extra damage, keeping the opposing team... Oh, good nade. Just keeping them honest. If you get this chase, oh, that is pristine. What a kill. Even if you get demeched, you have the bomb to try and get back in. This is such a good position for Smelvin to be in.
Absolutely massive. They have the pressure onto the brig, but the pulse bomb will finally put the nail in that coffin, taking RK out of the fight. Kill the Hog, meanwhile, dies over towards the objective. Diva on a 20-kill streak. Nobody has DMAC Robbie Hash, the healthiest Diva I've ever seen in my life. Attacks again, feeling the wrath of those micro missiles, and with 2 minutes and 21 seconds, Smelvin will cap Hollywood.
I mean, the time could be a lot worse. I feel like is the first thing we need to say here. Remember, we came into the third point with 5 minutes, 17 seconds. So, good job, firstly, for Bliss Marauders whistling down the time bank from that point, but it's also worth mentioning that their first and second points were pretty tragic, unfortunately. That's why they still find themselves in a pretty deep hole they've been forced to dig themselves out of. In terms of if it's possible, it is, absolutely, but they're going to need to figure out how to keep their backline alive. That was the main issue they were running into. Arcane Control were just being exploded every time by especially Big Man and Robbie Hash. So maybe a Brigitte, maybe some safer positioning would really help them. Or maybe simply the threat of the Roadhog is going to be enough. Either way, they're going to have to do it on the attack. And defensively, Zarya? Oh, it is coming out after all. And with the Moira too, you've got so much HPS to play with. No speed, though, does mean that if Robbie Hash is in a pickle, is going to have to simply fight his way out.
Yeah, I mean, fighting his way out is certainly one way to put it here, but at the end of the day, we knew the Zarya could come out eventually here, so we'll have to see exactly what the game plan is here for Smelvin with the way that they're going to play, especially with the Moira in tow. Meanwhile, Bliss Marauders with the Hazard, I mean, they're going to be looking to go fast and try to just sort of blow something up once they can force those bubble cooldowns out, right?
Absolutely. In terms of the frontline trade, the Haz does have an easier time when there is no charge, but he has to make sure he's not peeking into bad sightlines, else his armor is going to evaporate and he's going to have to pull. So far, Robbie Hash jamming the choke. Won't be able to do that for too much longer as Bliss start taking angles.
Starting to get some space on the map here. That's going to be a bubble used from Robbie Hash just to get some energy. Kill the Hog dropped incredibly low. No healing has come through yet. Takes so incredibly long, but Kill the Hog will go ahead and switch it on to Big Nan here, absolutely destroying that Tracer. And now Zarya, caught between a wall and a hard place, is going to be removed from the fight here, and Kill the Hog actually being able to live this with the help of these supports. And now this will be a quick cap on the other side, this time for Bliss Marauders.
Kind of my issue with the backline we see there, actually, the lack of utility, right? Robbie Hash caught out no bubbles on an island, and rather than having a speed or a cleanse or an MO to help him out, you just have to kind of pour some healing on and hope it's enough. Obviously, it isn't. Robbie Hash over to the Orisa in an attempt to shut down the Haz. And a car unlocked in equally fast pace for Bliss Marauders.
Exactly. So now we'll have to see what these swaps truly entail here, as the Wu Yang currently on a car RK, just trying to have to use the wave and things like that to keep everybody nice and healthy. Now with a recall force, Big Nan going a little bit too deep in the backline, trying to chase this Wu Yang kill. Unfortunately, there's far too much peel, so Big Nan's really going to regret that one. The Hazard incredibly low, but hasn't died yet, able to stay in the fight now, as Robbie Hash is going to be caught out of position here, and that'll be another one where Smelvin just has to reset.
Indeed. Simply nothing you can do. Bliss Raiders are going to continue getting extra distance on the cart. And the wall, could have been perfect. Could have isolated properly. But instead, it's going to buy some extra time for Bliss to continue getting progress, to continue increasing that ult bank. Basically, 5 check marks here. I'd love to see them start with the Wu Yang ultimate, but you might not need to if Seb's just insta-dead.
Yeah, and being able to get that massive pick, that's the power Sojourn can provide. Now Robbie Hash going up to the high ground, trading it out, taking Saber out here. Will, under pressure from the Hazard, has to slide out back towards the cart. Oh, and Adam just doesn't even realize what's coming. Kill the Hog gets that beautiful pick here. Now the Tracer, incredibly low HP, gets landed on top of Big Nan's head. Just really not having a fun go of it this map, I'll tell you that much. The Hazard trying to get a little bit more into the spawn here. Seb so incredibly low, but the break healing is there. And it seems as though the Ana will live for the time being, but now that's going to force out the downpour. At least getting the kill onto Adam before the nade comes through. Meanwhile, back over on the objectives, Smelvin's been holding thanks to Robbie Hash just staying alive.
I think we're actually seeing something appear to be the case here, which we spoke about a smidgen on Busan, which is that neither team is particularly good at defense. This time, we were able to see Smelvin find a bit of a stabilization, but it was obviously so hard for Kill the Hog, was so deep and still finding value. And so, rather than actually play a defense, Smelvin just attacked to defend. Orisa's on the back high ground, on the back line, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, still incredibly healthy, has the Terror Surge as needed, pushing the Hazard back to keep Kill the Hog off of high ground as long as humanly possible. And now, Robbie Hash willing to go right back into it, gets the Tracer 1 HP, and realizes there's no recall. Now, it's going to be the Fortify popped here, trying to keep Robbie Hash alive, and it seems like that's not going to be the case. You're caught by the jagged wall there. Meanwhile, Saber has popped the OC, found 1, make it 2 in the fight, a 3rd with the help of RK here, and Bliss is going to get the payload moving again.
Yeah, they will. 2.5 minutes means they are behind in pace to what their opponents were doing. But I also struggle to imagine a way that Smelvin able to put a proper recontest through Nano into Robbie Hash.
Yeah, and so now with that Nano boost already coming through, you're seeing Robbie Hash on the payload. It's going to force the Terror Surge. That way nobody gets stunned up by that Wu Yang tidal wave. And it's just going to be more and more kills going the way of Smelvin here, where they seem to have finally found a defense.
That they did. They kind of just sent it through, and with all the space, all the chaos, all the confusion that was created by and Nano and Orisa running through. The rest of Smelvin were able to individually find their ones. I mean, a C9 could absolutely get the cart through. That's why Robbie is watching the cart like a pot about to boil, but they also only have this pulse bomb. So in terms of ults, both teams pretty skint. Bliss Marauders probably looking to force the cart then to get some sort of a lead so far, though. Happy to just play for extended shooting, waiting for somebody to overpeak to make a mistake.
Exactly, that's what happens when you're fighting these high grounds. You do have the Wu Yang damage orbs. You can keep chucking in 100 damage onto those grouped up targets. Now Kill the Hog going in. Already used the Jagged Wall though, but it's going to mean Saber is caught out of position when there's no hazard in front of the Orisa here. And Robbie Hash really has been just getting so aggressive with it. You love to see it here, and that'll be another defensive fight for Smelvin.
Yeah, that it shall. Minute left to go. And it means only 1 minute is separating them from being 2-0 up in the series as we head towards the break. I mean, Kill the Hog has to just sprint across the map to the backline. Both cooldowns having to be expended to keep him active. But Big Nan picks from a Soldier Rail. Suddenly the tide has turned. The shoes on the other foot. And Robbie Hash has to just run across the map now to try and live.
To do it, to try to live here, and that's going to be the case here. Kill the Hog forced off a high ground once again. The nano boost has been committed from Seb. The downpour comes out. Don't believe it connects onto anybody here except for Will, but that might be enough to finally get this moving. Somebody's moving the payload. Nobody's there to stop it. Finally at the last possible second. Meanwhile, Robbie Hash is fighting on this high ground still, not worried about the cart at all, but it's just a rally brig versus the world down there. Finally, Robbie Hash is going to try to drop, but it might be too little too late to help this one as the Orisa's going to be out of position here as finally Bliss Marauders get a new lease on life.
Takes them a while though, which means that guaranteed their time bank is going to be lesser, very likely it's going to be an overtime finish, which would still lock them out of completing the map of actually getting a W, right? But that's all they can play for. They'd rather take a draw than a loss. What a catch, dude. That's so unethical.
I mean, listen, there's so many unethical things. The Soldier 76 pick, the being caught out there. I mean, there's so much that really went wrong, but Robbie Hash is going to be able to force the hazard off of high ground with some tools in the pocket here for Bliss Marauders. They're hoping to keep their payload progress moving, but this Orisa just free shooting from the high ground. No real contest or anything to stop it. Now an anti-nade comes through on to Kill the Hog, so the hazard has to back up for the time being just to try to stay safe. Tries to leap in, get some wall comms. Unfortunately, it's not going to be the case here. Now the Reaper being forced back as well, thanks to a volley of Zen orbs. Kill the Hog trying to get into position once again. Finally has found a little bit of footing on high ground, but he's immediately forced down by the Orisa once again.
Indeed, Saber, instantly dead. Will kind of in a position to find value from this overclock, but decides not to lose it considering the two-man advantage his team has already eked out. If you're Bliss Marauders, you have to escape safely. You have to back out because at 24 seconds left, you've only got one last shake of the stick. And control going down, only going to excarberate the issue. Saber, though, tries to clutch up with the overclock. There's so many ults being invested. What's happening?
Yeah, I mean, so much being invested. I mean, hey, listen, on the side of Smelvin, it makes sense. You're pushing the spawn door, see what you can do. It's going to be the Death Blossom, but Attacks gets nothing as Adam is nanoed, and the Zenyatta is willing to do the damage needed to keep that Reaper away. And it seems as though Bliss Marauders close, but no cap for them. And I'll take Smelvin Industries to match point.
That it shall. Feels like with these two teams, it always starts being close, but at the end of the day, Smelvin are able to lock in just a little bit more, and towards the later half of the map, start really strutting their stuff, showing exactly what they can do. I mean, the attack, honestly, from Bliss started so well. Remember, they had that gargantuan time bank. They made it through the first corner of a second so quickly, but then they kind of just ran out of steam, it felt like. So really unfortunate for them, but it's still a winnable series. They can complete the reverse sweep, but they are going to need to have a bit of a rethink about how they're going to play, especially the latter half of these maps.
Exactly, the latter half where they have to be able to sort of think and strategize what exactly Bliss needs to do and change up here. And luckily, they're going to get that time they need to really give it their all to really think of what they need to counter Smelvin here, as we are going to throw it to a quick little break. So go ahead, get yourself a snack, go use the restroom, do what you got to do, but make sure your butts are back in those seats because we'll have the rest of the series on the other side of this break. welcome back. Hopefully everybody went and did anything they need to. We gave you a whole 5 minutes. If you didn't, then it's shame on you, your problem. We are still here in the midst of a week 3 match in the EU Open tier for season 16. Smelvin Industries currently up against Bliss Marauders 2-0. So far, it's been a very interesting match. There's been a lot of close, chaotic fights, but Smelvin really just has been on top so far.
They've always been the ones getting the lead whenever the dust settles. It does feel like, as you mentioned, some of these fights have been super chaotic, super weird. Suravasa appears to be where we're going next. You can tell from the graphic behind us. And I do feel like it's going to continue to favor Smelvin Industries. I think Bliss Marauders, they've had some decent bans go through. They've tried to take the momentum away from their opposition, but it feels like anytime Smelvin gets back on their Orisa, it just ends up working for them. And so, Bliss Marauders, I feel like have one chance to get rid of the Orisa and maybe start this reverse sweep, because if they don't, obviously it's going to be 3-0. Smelvin Industries are going to be sitting incredibly pretty, and Bliss Marauders will be feeling very, very sorry for themselves. So this has to be it. This has to be their time.
Exactly. This has to be the opportunity, the moment for Bliss to strike, hopefully, here. And it'll be interesting to see where they end up going. I'm hoping we have map. I hope I'm not just rambling out of my butt. Maybe teams didn't decide anything in that 5 minutes, and we can go back to talking about Pringles or whatever we were before. It seems like since there's no little voice in my head, yeah, we're just kind of chilling and waiting.
We have the map. The map is confirmed. It's true. There we go. We've got a graphic just to make it extra official in case you thought we were lying to you for some godforsaken reason. And probably also that if we were lying to you, that we wouldn't also create a fake graphic just to mess with you further. Should we start gaslighting some people on stream, Mega?
I mean, honestly, what if we just started casting things that weren't happening? Like for the entirety of Suravasa, we just pretend we're on Dorado. Oh yeah, we're just watching monkey comps right now. What are you guys on?
Yeah.
And just completely scare everybody. They're like, wait, what's going on? But hey, Suravasa is pretty cool. Flashpoint enjoyers rise up. I need all of you Flashpoint enjoyers to start showing it in rank though. Really tired of, listen, we're actually on the EU broadcast, so we can talk about this. EU, I've been converted. Y'all are the better region. I'll say it. Listen, the realization of y'all realizing that Flashpoint is good, and NA, people refuse to vote for Flashpoint as though it's somehow worse than 2CP. It blows my mind. NA, these people are slobbering on their keyboards. It just doesn't make sense. Any European country that wants to sponsor me, get me a citizenship thing going, tell me. Say the word. I'll be over there.
Happen. Well, I'll speak to my contacts. No, seriously though, I feel like I was playing NA yesterday morning, and it felt like I could just run at people and they just fall over because they've never been dived before. And also everyone just kept picking Havana. Why? That map is terrible. Get me out of Havana at any given time. But it's all G. The European Union is simply superior culturally. I think we kind of all do know this. Bans are through, by the way, so I think we can take a gander at them sooner rather than later, so you don't need to hear about our regional propaganda any longer. But yeah, we'll see that in a little bit.
Yeah, after Spec boldly declares we have bans, then 5 seconds later the magical voice in our head says that we have bans, so clearly a good sync up happening here, but we're speed running. Bliss Marauders have said that they're just not dealing with the Junker Queen. I mean, heading into Suravasa, that's honestly valid. Force it to the Orisa mirror. You just absolutely you just don't want to deal with any Junker Queen, anything besides the standard Orisa. I understand the vibe. I understand what we're going for here, Bliss.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think it's perfectly valid. But was that the difference maker? We'll have to wait and see. Smelvin Industries for their ban. Trying to think what you've been playing that your opponents haven't that was particularly effective. I mean, I guess there's the Genji that we saw, but I mean, I can't say it's particularly likely, right? We didn't see all that many, for example, Dragon Blade frags actually come through Suravasa. Yeah, it is a pretty good Genji map, all things considered, but with the 10-second deflects now, I feel like there may be some better bans, but we'll simply have to wait and see.
Yeah. There's so many Genji players who are complaining about that 10-second deflect, and
I am actually. It
with
feels
it,
terrible.
okay, it feels terrible, but Genji, like, listen, as somebody who enjoys playing Genji as well, and I've played a lot of Genji, Genji has had it a little too good for a little too long. Like, not as much as some of these other heroes, but Genji's been chilling for a hot minute. Now, granted, my take is they should give him 30 shurikens back with the 10-second cooldown. It would feel better for everything involved. But yeah, it is actually going to be the Genji ban, so we don't even have to worry about that 10-second cooldown in this map at least here, because Smelvin just simply banned it out. It'll be in the back of your head. Listen, you can carry that worry for everybody. But we do actually have some substitutions here. The DJW coming in for the side of Bliss Marauders in that DPS spot, and then Mori coming in on the side of Smelvin Industries here. Interesting, they're both showing hit scans, but I don't really think this is a hit scan favored map. This should be sort of double flex like we talked about, right?
You probably should double flex a lot of the time. Tracer, Reaper heavily played. Obviously, you know, Genji's Tracer allowed, but Reaper super valuable right now just because he's like Genji. If Genji had 2 survivability cooldowns and also healed when he did damage, and also his ultimate wasn't Dragon Blade, so you know, just kind of straight up better. It does feel like a lot of the time. See if that actually ends up materializing as we are out, obviously, on the Orisa. Tracer Soj the other side of things as well. Smelvin on the Rhine, though, does mean they have to get involved a little bit faster than they'd like.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, listen, fast might be the name of the game here. DJW, meanwhile, lurking around this doorway, hears everything. Gonna put a lot of pressure onto Will here, already forcing out that immortality field. Big Nance HP bar dropping as well, but Will be the first one to fall, followed up by that Reinhardt here. And Bliss Marauders have the sustainability and the damage to take this comp out quick.
Indeed. I mean, the Orisa is just a counter to the Reinhardt. We've been seeing this for absolute time since the last season of Overwatch League playoffs, right? Remembering how the Orisa of Boston just dispatched on the Spitfire time and time again. Big Nan has such a huge task to do to find value from this pick when Kill the Hog is just getting so much for free.
Yeah. And so now heading forward here, you're seeing RK of all people be the one to get the damage onto Big Nam, but Kill the Hog goes a little too far forward into the crosshair of Will, who hits that perfect rail shot. So this could be an opening for Smelvin here, and they're going to take full advantage of it with that tank missing from the fight. That Will is going to go down, paying for the hubris here, but at least the pressure's being applied to point. It's going to be some tricky touches, but again, trades continuing to come through here, but Robbie Hash finally going to be the finishing factor here to clean up the fight.
Yeah, lovely double kill to get the finishing touches on that fight, as you mentioned. Close on the window is Smelvin Industries. Love to see them go for a 5-strike window combo. Not as strong as it once was, but can still take a nifty chunk of HP away from your opponents. Big Man asks the Ryan mirror, but like, be realistic now, guys. Really? 2025?
2025, I think we got to give up on the Rhine Mirrors team. So it's just going to be the Rhine pinning into the fortified Orisa here. Kill the Hog, again, just a little bit too far forward, just staying in the line of Will's sight here, and just Will more than happy to take those shots and take that Orisa out of the fight here. So now the Curie being forced to TP away, Control staying alive here, but members of Bliss still dwindling.
Indeed. Very poor Kitsune placing, unfortunately, from Control, but it feels like the ultimates of Bliss Marauders maybe were enough to beat into the OC. This fighting continues. It's so weird. With Terra surging as well. Big Nan gets a shatter kill into DJW. The Rhine is somehow finding value into the Ori, and Kill the Hog has got to be feeling pretty cut up about that. But either way, Smelvin Industry is able to take the first flashpoint of Market, head towards Palace with some good spawns, but a significant ult disadvantage. Will with his OC has to come up clutch, else Bliss Marauders will be finding the W.
Yeah, and I mean, like you were saying, Kill the Hog probably not feel like all too good, but at the same time, it's just this over-positioning, this Orisa going too far forward, that's sort of costing Bliss Marauders in these fights, so gotta be a little wary of that here as we're heading into it now. Both teams have some tools to work with. Will set up on high ground with this overclock, definitely ready to let the railguns fly, but actually has to back up right now. Thankfully, a little bit of peel is there, but the stick means that Will not be using any ultimates this fight at the very least, just simply having to wait for the respawn simulator here, and it seems like Bliss, again, very similar to how Market started off in Control first.
Indeed. I mean, it's such a weird spot, right? Your DPS have so much work to do retaking like all the space that you've given up by losing, but you basically can't help them because you've got Bap, Lucio, and both those need to be focused on providing your Ryan resources, but you're playing into an Orisa. So, what's the game plan here? What is the method or approach you take? Tracer, forcing cut, or going for a stick? Let's find out.
Yeah, and so we'll have to see how this goes with the amplification matrix combined with Will's overclock here, getting a lot of damage in. That's going to be a second one. There's technically trades on both sides here, but it seems like Smelvin is starting to come out ahead here. If they can stay that way is the question. It seems like the answer is no. DJW being the hero needed for Bliss Marauders right now as the Rhine tries to speed back into the fight.
Haven't actually got that cap, right? Being 80% here, you need to play for Shatter and only Shatter beat is nice, but you can't use it so much as an aggressive tool. You're able to charge it up at least, with 10% left to go. We need to get a touch, guys.
Yeah, somebody's going to get on to the point here. It's going to have to be Big Nan on the Reinhardt. Has the Earth Shatter ready to go. Seems like it connects onto nobody, actually. The Fortify was there in time, but Smelvin, the picks are coming through. They have the Terra Surge now coming out from Kill the Hog, able to secure one onto Big Nan, but it seems like that's all it's going to be good for, as it is just going to be the last defender being this Lucio finally being removed.
Does take their entire ult bank, but as you mentioned, final defender is removed, so this Marauders on the outside now looking in. They're not able to retake in the next 2 attempts, and they'll have bled over their second flashpoint and be feeling very sorry for themselves, but they've got an OC and a Kitsune Rush both. Love to see them open with a Kitsune Rush and pop the OC if they see an opportunity, but with Big Nan on the Orisa and finding his opposite number, it's probably just a non-starter here.
Yeah, probably just going to be a sent back to spawn a situation here. DJW potentially trying to find one on Tamori, but the health back's just going to be claimed. And so, yeah, it will just be waiting for the next fight situation.
Indeed. I mean, it's one fight territory already because of how fast these flashpoints take up, right? And Smelvin Industries have been able to build towards some more checkmarks of their own. So, still playing an ult disadvantage, but that gap is quickly shrinking, right? We're almost with this overclock, and that could be enough to put Bliss Marauders down. Maybe not once and for all, but for the penultimate time this series.
Yeah, we'll have to see. They're trying to see if they can disrupt the
my
touch.
God.
Mori comes up massive with a pulse bomb, taking 2 out of the fight here. The rail is trying to be popped here from Saber. Finds one onto Will, but it's not going to be enough. Nobody gets over to the objective in time here. And with Seb going down as well, you get the moral kills. But unfortunately, it's just not enough. And now Smelvin just needs one more flashpoint point to take the series.
All they need is one. And because they won that previous fight with only the pulse bomb, they're a pretty significant also advantage heading into this last battle. They got a better positioning because they won out that last fight, right? I mean, everything is coming up heads for them. Bliss Marauders kind of need a miracle, and so far they've been pretty skint on them so far.
A miracle is what's required right now. And like you said, things are already bad or worse with control being removed. They are able to trade it out. Neither side has a Baptiste, but Will, beautiful jump in. These Sojourners really have been the lobby admins deciding how these fights goes. Big Net a little bit overzealous with that Terra Surge is going to pay the ultimate price for that one here. So now Bliss Marauders, while not in control of the point, they are at least winning out this fight. So now they can move over to the objective.
Oh, could have had the one clip, but Mori aims a little bit low, and there is some peel there. So 25%, all that was accrued. Bliss Marauders get able to win out that first fight, as you mentioned. But it's not the end of the world for them still. Smelvin Industries, plenty of tools to bring to bear still. As long as they don't get Terra Surge, they can just kind of go quick.
Yeah, already being willing to get in here. Both sides popping the sound barrier. Now the Terra Surge. Everybody's stuck inside of it, but it's going to be Will, incredibly low HP and surrounded by enemies, going to be taken out first here. So now Smelvin working short-handed. It's going to be even shorter-handed here as the kills are all coming through. Mori does manage to get one onto control here, but that's all it's going to be for Smelvin now.
Seems like it. Can Mori try and survive now? Would it be a stagger? Stagger it is. Kill the Hog able to find one. Very awkward 1v1. Robbie Hash finds an exit kill. But it's going to be tight in terms of timings, right? 75% already. We're still waiting for Robbie Hash and Mori to respawn. Big Nen has to start the walk without his Baptiste, so he's losing a lot of HP to try and take the space.
Yeah, but that point percentage, like you said, it is ticking up here, and that shield perk is really helping Bliss Marauder sort of hold some of the space here. But Mori starts it off once again, massive pick on to RK here. Now Big Dan a little too deep as well. The follow-up damage is there from Smelvin, or from Bliss Marauders rather, but actually Smelvin's actually able to flip it back off the hands of Mori. Will still being alive in this fight as well is actually making Bliss Marauders sound the entire retreat right now.
Indeed, 99%, but we've seen Bliss Marauders here. We've seen them lose it before. One has to hope that they don't get nervous, because that could be it for their game. Great headshot onto Saber, but both soldiers will survive.
Both soldiers alive, Will barely with the skin of their teeth. Now it's going to be the Ant Matrix. Robbie Hash flanking with the Ant Matrix, trying to see what damage can be done. Forces the Immortality Field, and it's actually going to be zoned out by Zaber, who has now found one. Robbie Hash will end up getting that kill, but how much more can a flanking Baptiste do? The answer is not a whole heck of a lot here. And it seems like a little bit of trolling has occurred, so now Bliss Marauders find themselves with 1 point to go, with 1 point on the board.
They've been able to draw blood at the very least. It's been a little while since they've done that, and they've got an also advantage as well to allow them to continue doing that. Saber just insta-dying though to Big Nan. It's a bit peak. There's no other way of describing that. That is a little bit unfortunate. And so, especially if Smelvin can get into the fight before Saber is allowed to respawn, then got a 4v5 and some easy point positioning.
Yeah, and so now we have to see how they're positioning here. Massive terror surge with a pulse bomb on top. That Immortality Field somehow keeping everybody healthy for the time being. DJW, not really sure who that pulse bomb was supposed to connect with, but the answer is no one, it seems. Trades still occurring back and forth, but it seems like it's all Smelvin right now. DJW taken down, and Smelvin will get the first cap on this point.
Indeed, they shall. Turns out it's pretty hard to play if your Soj gets picked 15 seconds before the fight even begins, right? So Smelvin Industries, a very comfortable first cap, but it hasn't always worked out for those who get it on here first. Saber insta dead again?
Yeah. I mean, just constantly these Sojourns finding first picks, especially onto each other, is a massive help in the fight. Kill the Hog, though, not done with this one yet, so now we are 3v3 on the objective. Bindan having to use some of these cooldowns just to get back in, but Kill the Hog seemingly have none left here, and it's just going to be Smelvin Industry still in control.
Indeed. Good late kill zone to DJW and Zaber. Bliss Marauders, one more chance. DPS ults for him. Sure, your DPS respawning late, though. Not ideal. You don't have the Tracer to get overtime started easily to get some pre-fight scaling. It has to be Kill the Hulk, who gets the early space and already lost his armor.
Yeah. And so now Mori already finding one in the fight. Everybody pushed up far forward. The objective, a long forgotten thought at this point here, as Smelvin Industries are going to take the map, take the series in a 3-0 fashion here against Bliss Marauders. Certainly an unconventional series, to say the least.
One way of describing it, sure. I think Bliss Marauders able to be super competitive on at least the first two maps. On the third one, they're still able to draw blood when and if they need to, and take plenty of fight wins. But it always felt, unfortunately... Oh, some great shots from Will, actually. Like it, Smelvin Industries were the ones in the driver's seat, the ones in control of the series, and of course the score is going to absolutely reflect that. Don't go anywhere though, folks, because even though the game is over, we will have an interview momentarily with one of the victorious players. So we'll be back in a little bit with one of the members of Smelvin Industries. So deuces.
Memories. Memories. Yeah. Memories. Memories.
Water is the softest and most yielding substance, yet nothing is better than water for overcoming the hard and rigid, because nothing can compete with it.
All righty, welcome on back. Turns out we lied. The entirety of Smelvin Industries left lobby and are just refusing to acknowledge interviewing anybody. I'm gonna be so real. I'm gonna call them knobheads here on stream. You're in the tournament. We're streaming the games. Fill out your team sheet. Come do an interview, even if you don't want to. Be social. Be normal human beings for 5 seconds. Pretty please.
Can't disagree with that. However, I can't lie, I'm really sleepy, so I couldn't really be bothered to be like, yo, why did you guys play Reinhardt? And then they're like, we're tossing. So, it's not the end of the world. Anyway, the relevant thing is there's probably an NA game on today. There's definitely an EU game on tomorrow, and then definitely an NA game after that. So keep watching it. Keep watching CGL. It's pretty cool what we do here. And as we're now heading in towards week 4, we're getting closer and closer to the mid-season tournament, which is even cooler. So keep your eyes peeled, because things are only going to get better from here on out.
Exactly. Exactly. So, as you saw that NA game later, Tarnish versus Bill Nation, make sure you tap in, make sure you enjoy it. But that has been all for us on the EU side. Of course, thanks Spectrum for casting with me. We obviously have our lovely prod people, Echo and Lottie, behind the scenes making everything look pretty and nice. And of course, the whole CGL community, because I'm going to be real. If y'all didn't exist, we wouldn't do this. So y'all got to give yourselves, pat on the back for just being amazing. But with all that being said, we're going to get out of here. Have yourselves a good evening.